Elemental's just released on Disney Plus, and judging by the news, this was the most watched premiere on Disney's streaming platform. I mean, that by itself should be considered a good thing, right? Well, I mean, yes. But also no. Well, kind of. Pixar Animation Studios used to be the gold standard for animated studios. Back in the day, it was a huge deal every time Pixar released a movie. They had so much emotional depth in their films. I mean, these were motion pictures that were fun and colorful enough for kids to appreciate, but deep and engaging enough for adults to enjoy and get them thinking. Pixar made movies with the clear understanding that there is no clear variation between a kid's movie and an adult movie. A movie that a kid can enjoy can be just as enjoyable for an adult to enjoy as well. They tackle deeper concepts such as loss, acceptance, and change, while coating it with a highly detailed and colorful exterior. The movies were marketed for the younger generation, but they were clearly made for adults. This strategy, alongside the insanely creative original ideas and the tight writing, put Pixar at the top for many, many years. Unfortunately, they now seem to be a shell of their former self. Their movies aren't the box office draws that they used to be, and there are a lot more duds than hits. At least, that's what it seems like. Elementals was the biggest hit on Disney+, but that could be due to the fact that many families and future audiences were willing to forego watching it in theaters because they knew that Disney Plus debut was not far off. Disney's utter reliance on releasing their movies to streaming after a short while gives audiences less of a reason to pay an exorbitant amount on tickets and concessions. I wasn't the most excited for this movie. Part of the reason is due to my utter hatred for Peterson's previous film, The Good Dinosaur. Although, don't get me wrong, I don't fully put the blame on him due to the fact that the movie was cycling in and out directors because of production troubles, and he just happened to be the last director working on it. I just really didn't like that movie. The other reason is due to the lackluster marketing and the very similar feeling that recent Pixar movies have been, well, feeling. Just from the trailers made me think this movie was going to be a Zootopia meets Inside Out, and Pixar seemed to have lost their signature touch on making movies, and I decided, you know what, I can wait till streaming to give this movie a shot. And that's what I did. And after watching it, I gotta say I actually liked it a lot. It was very fun. Now don't get me wrong, it's no Toy Story or Up, but it's also no Lightyear or The Good Dinosaur. It's an enjoyable movie about a fire element named Ember, and her desire to uphold her father's dreams at the sacrifice of her own. Through the meeting of Wade Ripple, genius name, an inspector who accidentally finds himself at Ember's shop, she goes on a small adventure where she learns to live the life that she wants to live for herself, and not what she thinks her dad wants to live for her. I just confused myself so much. Basically, she learns to live the life that she wants for herself, and not what she thinks her dad wants for her. It's a pretty simple story with a not too subtle message, but it works in a way that's still enjoyable. But yeah, what happened with Pixar? I just went on a tangent there. It's clear that the studio is no longer the juggernaut it once was. The giant monstrosity of a studio that brought you the likes of The Incredibles, Ratatouille, Toy Story, Up, Inside Out, Finding Nemo, Coco, the list just goes on and on. What happened? Is Pixar really a dying animation studio? Well, in my opinion, no, they're just no longer the top dog. Gone are the days of Pixar releasing smash hit after smash hit. Their movies are still good, they just aren't the revolutionary films of yesteryear. And that's just one reason. Back then, Pixar was the best animation studio by far. Well, I mean, DreamWorks did come with a close second, but Pixar was king. Nowadays, however, there's been a huge uptick in high-quality animated features. For example, Into and Across the Spider-Verse is a series that comes to mind. This Sony Pictures Entertainment movie broke reality and my mind on how animated movies can be displayed visually. They completely utilize the freedom that animation can truly bring. Another example is Klaus. This Netflix animation special is another animated treat that brings the story of Christmas in a visually stunning and heartwarming package. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is a recent release that blew away expectations. Super Mario Bros. Broke records, and although the movie wasn't perfect, its adaptation of the video game was quite perfect. Not to mention Disney's other animation studio with the likes of Zootopia, and it's clear why Pixar no longer dominates the market. Also, back then, Pixar used to create movies maybe once a year to once every 2 years, but after 2015, they've upped the quantity maybe twofold. Before Inside Out, which came out in 2015, Pixar has released 14 movies. From 1995 to 2015, that's 14 movies in 20 years. But since then, there's been 13 movies. Yes, 13 movies in the past 8 years. It's hard to sustain a model of quality movie after quality movie when the studio has more than doubled their production. And this doubled production includes so many sequels. Pixar used to be known for their originality in their movies, so it's sad to see them fall away from this mantra with their increasing list of sequel/prequel movies. Seems like this trend isn't going anywhere as we get Elio or Elio in March 2024, and then 3 months later, Inside Out 2. I thought Pixar was toast. At least that's what I thought from reading stuff online, but after taking a quick look, they seem to still have good movies out there. They're just no longer the best of the best. Hey y'all, I apologize for my voice. I am getting over a fever for the past week, and my throat still hurts, so I apologize if it sounds weird. But yeah, let's get into this. This is my first ever tier list. I've never done one before, and I don't know if tier lists are still a thing anymore. Maybe I'm just doing, an outdated, it's not a culture, an outdated practice. I don't know. But I thought it'd be fun, so let's give it a shot. I'm actually not used to, talking like this without a script, but we'll see. Toy Story 1, I think it can be an S tier easily just from the fact that it was Pixar's first movie, and I think it was the first 3D CGI animated movie, and that's phenomenal, if you ask me. But I'm gonna leave it at A tier just because I'm gonna reserve the S for my personal favorite Pixar movies, but it's a great movie. Easy A. A Bug's Life, I really liked, but I don't think it's anything special. Well, it is something special. It was a good movie, but I don't think it's on the level of Toy Story, and it just fits having B for Bugs, so I'm just gonna leave it like that. Let me know down below what you think of your rankings and what my rankings, if you agree or not. Let me know down below. Toy Story 2, this is a sequel where I feel like it did everything better than the original. I loved it. It's still an A tier, but it's only because I like Toy Story 1 and 2 pretty much almost the same. If I think Toy Story 2 gets a little bit of an extra bump, but yeah. Also, I apologize if I cough throughout. I'm trying to hold it in, and I'll probably edit out some of the more egregious coughs, but yeah. Monsters Inc., I mean, do I even need to say anything? It's an easy A tier. The premise of monsters scaring kids for energies from their screams is such a weird premise, and I absolutely love it. It's a great movie, very emotional. Fantastic. Finding Nemo is also another great movie. I didn't think I would like it when I was younger. I mean, it's about fish. Like, come on. But this movie about fish was very emotional. It was a great journey, great adventure movie. Very fun, very good. The Incredibles is going to be our first S tier. I really like this movie. It's by far my favorite Pixar movie, and it might also just be my favorite movie just of all time. I've seen this movie 50 times growing up, and I can watch it 50 more times. It's a movie I can quote every line just because of how much I love it. Easy S. I know people hate the Cars franchise, and I know they don't like this movie that much, but I'm a sucker for cocky characters turning humble, so I'm gonna leave this as an A tier. Owen Wilson does a great job. I really like this movie. It's a fun story, very simple but very fun, and that pit stop scene, chef's kiss. Speaking of chef, great transition actually. Ratatouille is another A tier. I didn't like this movie that much when I first watched it when I was younger. I thought it was quite lame. And then I watched it again maybe a year ago or maybe this year, and I absolutely loved it. I was blown away. Like, how did I end up not liking this movie when I was younger? But I like it now, and it's an easy A for me. WALL-E is a great movie. It's gonna be on the B tier for me just on the fact that I'm a person that likes more movies with dialogue. This movie didn't really have too much of that until the second half of it, but it's still a great movie. I loved WALL-E. I don't think it's as good as these movies in my opinion, but it's a movie that I absolutely adore. Up is a movie where actually I didn't know anything about this movie. It wasn't until, and this is a really weird just thing that's just in my mind forever. I was watching a keynote of the iPad unveiling on YouTube, and in the keynote, Steve Jobs opened up, the Videos app, and he clicked on a movie to watch to show, how good it looks on the big screen, and that movie happened to be Up. And I remember he showed maybe like 30 seconds to a minute, and I thought it looked very interesting. So I got the movie from my library, watched it, and I thought it was great. That scrapbook scene at the end, fantastic. It gets me crying every single time. Toy Story 3, much to my girlfriend's dismay, I think this movie is an S tier. I was going from middle school to high school, not much the high school to college that Andy was going through, but it was a big enough transition that I absolutely resonated with Andy, and the fact that I grew up on these two movies, it was great. It was nostalgia, and the ending broke my heart. It was very emotional. I love it. Easy S. What isn't an easy S is a Cars 2, because that's an easy D. This movie was absolutely horrendous. Yeah, the animation was really weird and stiff. It didn't really feel like a Pixar movie, and I just don't know why it was made. I'm just gonna leave it. Well, I mean, I know why, for the merchandising, but I'm gonna leave it in the D tier. I did not like this movie at all. Brave is another movie that I didn't really care for. It kind of felt like a DreamWorks movie, but with the Pixar polish. Not to say DreamWorks movies are bad. Some of my favorite series are from DreamWorks. But yeah, this movie just didn't feel Pixar to me. Monsters University, I'll leave it to C tier, but I did like this movie a lot. It was very cute, and I liked the cast of characters, and I liked, the college jokes that were made with the Pixar, flavor to it. Liked seeing Mike and Sully in college, and it was quite good, but it just wasn't anything special again. What was special was Inside Out. This movie blew my mind, and this movie ended up being so good that it's up there with my favorite Pixar movies. What's not up there is The Good Dinosaur. I might be a bit too harsh on this movie, but I absolutely did not like this movie. Part of that might be the fact that it came out immediately after Inside Out, and I was subconsciously correlating it or comparing it to Good Dinosaur. But yeah, as a movie, it kind of just didn't really give me anything, and I just left the movie just very disappointed. Finding Dory was also a little bit of a disappointment. I feel like this movie wasn't really one that needed to be told. It didn't really do... I don't want to leave it at D tier though, because I did like it more than Cars 2. But I didn't like it as much as Monsters University. I'm going to leave it at D tier for now. I thought it was a very cute movie. I'm going to put Cars 2 at F tier. D, I'm going to just leave it as an average movie. D tier, I thought it was a decently fine movie. Not great for Pixar standards, but for a regular movie, it was good. Cars 3, I liked it more than Cars 2 for sure. I liked it more than Finding Dory. I thought it would be a bit darker of a movie, especially with the teaser, where you had Lightning McQueen kind of just rolling, after a crash. But the movie was, pretty lighthearted, and I was a bit disappointed to see that, but overall, it was an enjoyable movie. Coco, easy A tier. It could be an S, but again, I want to reserve this S tier for my favorites. But the music was great, the emotional impact was great, and I definitely did cry, and I am not ashamed to admit that. Coco is a great movie. This one kind of hurts. The Incredibles 2 was my most hyped movie after it got announced. I was expecting... And I do blame Toy Story 3 for this. I was expecting this movie to have that same treatment where the same amount of time would have passed from Incredibles 2 to Incredibles 1, this as Toy Story 3 did from Toy Story 2. I was expecting Violet to be a working lady, Dash to be in college, Jack to be maybe middle school, but it didn't happen. Instead, the movie takes place literally immediately after the first movie, and Brad Bird's perfect script just ended up being the same script as the first movie, but just flipped the roles around, and I was disappointed. Still a good movie. Toy Story 4 is in the same boat, where it's a good movie. I did enjoy watching it, but the fact that it came out after Toy Story 3, which I thought was the perfect send-off, kind of left a bitter taste while I was watching it, and I couldn't really enjoy it as much. So I'm going to leave in the C tier. It's a good movie, it really didn't need to be made. Onward is another movie where I did enjoy it. I'm going to put in the C tier. I think the ending with, Tom Holland's character and Chris Pratt's character, and, Tom Holland checking off the list of things he wants to do with his dad, that scene alone kind of carries this movie. But because overall, I thought the movie was just okay until that moment. It was a very emotional moment, very, sweet, very Pixar, and I really liked it. Soul, I'm going to put in the B tier. I expected to like this movie a lot more than I actually ended up liking it. And I think part of that is because Pete Docter, or Docker, who made Inside Out, he also made Soul, and I was expecting more. I wasn't really expecting the whole cat section in the middle, but I really like the message. It's a great movie. Definitely B tier. Luca. I literally forgot Luca was a thing. I might need to go ahead and watch this movie. I don't think I've seen it. I will be right back. And yeah, I'll get back to you after I've seen Luca. Okay, I'm back. I saw Luca. I actually liked it a lot. It was very cute. I didn't really care much about it in the beginning, but I liked it a lot more than I expected to. It was very, sweet movie. Again, it wasn't anything special, which is kind of weird to say because I expect Pixar movies to be these special events, but when it ends up just being like a decent to good movie, I get a little bit disappointed, so I'm going to leave it in the C tier. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Turning Red, I think, should have gotten a lot, and I mean a lot more attention. I think this is a great movie. I don't think it'll be up there with along the lines of Coco, but it is definitely a movie that is on the likes of Soul, Bug's Life. Maybe not WALL-E level, but it's still up there. I really, really enjoyed it. The animation style was fantastic, and if it wasn't for being released strictly on Disney Plus, I think it would have gotten a lot more love. But yeah, this movie, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Lightyear, I really don't highly recommend. I'll leave it in the F tier, not that it's a horrible movie, but just that I was very disappointed. If this was named something other than Lightyear, and if it didn't have to do anything with Buzz Lightyear, I think I would have liked the movie a lot more. Elemental recently released on Disney Plus that I happened to watch, and I actually liked it a lot. I don't know, it left me feeling just, very happy that I watched it. It wasn't a phenomenal movie. It did have some similarities with Zootopia, especially the train, and then when they're in the hot air balloon, it's very similar to when Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde were in that gondola ski lifts. I would probably put it in the C tier still. Debating between the B or C, maybe a B tier. I might need to let this settle down a bit because I just watched it. Same with Luca, but yeah, I think it's C tier is a fine ranking. Yeah, this is my tier list of Pixar movies. I'm sorry if I rambled on. I've never done one like this before. I don't know what I'm supposed to be saying, honestly. Just speaking out of nothing, and I think I might have spoke too much. But let me know down below what you think of. Also, my coughing has been very annoying, so it's hard to speak. But yeah, let me know what you think of my tier list. If you agree, disagree, let's keep it civil. And yeah, I guess that's the end of this video. This tier listing took longer than I expected. But yeah, let me know down below if you have, watched all the way to the end of this. Well, let me know down below your tier list. Please like and subscribe as well, as it would be very, very helpful. And I appreciate every single one of you. Have a great rest of your day, and goodbye.